Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Lorraine and I am from Graceful Guidance Ministries. I wanted to come on and just talk about, just real quickly, not keep any of you, but just share with you some pros and cons of our move here to Mauritius, Africa. Depending on where you're moving into Africa, your experience is going to be different, and kind of who you are as a person, and also your personality will play a part in it as well. But there are a lot of commonalities that I'm noticing, even listening to other expats from other parts of the world. Um, but I wanted to share my own experience and my own pros and cons. I actually had a list, and the funny thing is that I was on my way because I was going to go on a walk and just take y'all down to the beach and show you the beach, why I talked about some of these things. It's just so beautiful down there, and it's about a block and a half from here. But we have a little stumbling block on the way. We have a pack of dogs that like to, they're just about a block down, and they have a little area that they hang out in. And there's one of them that's very naughty. Two of them kind of follow him. And this pack of dogs has come at me before, and I've been uh, come at, I'll put it that way, with packs of dogs 3 times now. And yesterday was one of those times. And so the pack of dogs is down there now, and they're hanging out, and they started barking at 2 ladies walking by, and then they kind of calmed down. So I don't really know why they do what they do when they do it. And I don't trust them. So I came back to my yard to record this video. So the irony of that is that that's actually one of my things on my con list. So I wanted to share some of the really beautiful things about Mauritius that have been kind of my takeaway so far um, for me. And I'm trying to get my son to share. I'd like to do a video with him just to have a perspective as a young person coming from the States and being a teenager, and the differences here. And again, depending on what part of Africa you're coming from, you're going to have just a slightly different experience. However, some of the cons from, let's start with the pros. So one of the major pros, of course, is the cost of living. It's very affordable to live here. If you can live here comfortably um, on a very small budget, as where in the States you cannot. I'm able to get fresh fruits and vegetables and meat that are very affordable, and we can eat healthy. We even have fruit in our own yard, and so that's been a plus for me. Um, Pretty much everything is cheaper here, just about. There are some things that they would say are expensive here, but they would say they're expensive because it might be the same price as the States. So for example, I finally found some Bragg's amino liquid, which I love to cook with, but I had to really hunt for it, and it's about the same price as the States. And that's not cheap, as you will know. But I use it very often, and for me, I treated myself to it because it's just a little bit of home. And when you're in a place like this where the food is quite different, and you're used to eating a certain way, you kind of gotta be creative and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And so and I'm sorry if there's any background noise. My neighbor has their TV relatively loud, but that's okay. Um, so the cost of living has been really, really nice. There's just been things that I've been able to obtain that I'm like, wow, that's that's such a great price back home. I wouldn't even purchase that because it's not within my budget. So cost of living is great, even down to having the blessing of the trike. It's electric, and so I don't have to pay gas. Now the inconvenience with the trike is that I am limited in distance, but I can still recharge if I have the ability to do that. If I go see another expat in another village or that kind of thing. So um, it's still nice though. The other uh, pro, and I think I kind of touched on it just slightly, that the eating is healthier here. I have healthier, more affordable, healthier options. Let's just say that, because the Mauritian diet is not healthy. It's very carby, a lot of fried, like deep fried stuff, pasta, rice, and it's not very flavorful, at least what I've had. So, and I haven't had any true, authentic East Indian food either. So that may shift and that may change. But so far, yeah, I'm still cooking very with American ways of cooking, and I really do like my food seasoned up. I even like a little kick sometimes. So it's been a little tricky trying to do all that, but I've been sticking to the basics and we've been doing just fine. I actually just cooked some ground beef the other night for the first time. And they don't call it ground beef here, they call it minced meat. But it was delicious, and so I was very thankful for that, and it tasted good. Um, The other thing that's a pro here, of course, is the beach. That's why people come here. That's why all the tourists come here. But also, not only is it just the beach, though, there are beautiful places to hike, and we are a hiking family. And so there are mountains to climb and lots of outdoor things to do. We have gone boating. There's a little bit of a trick to that trade too, because you do have to kind of know people in order to be able to do that activity affordably, because this is a tourist economy. It can be quite costly, but we've had the fortunate blessing to be able to know someone who could take us out boating and it not be too expensive. So I love that about it here. I love to be outdoors, and it's quiet here, and so that's one of the pros as well, especially at night. Here on this island, there isn't a big, huge nightlife. There might be a little bit in Port Louis, but even with that being said, it's still, people kind of shut down here. They go home and they rest and they're with family, and things get very quiet after people come home from work. And I just love that. And I love looking out and coming outside on my balcony if I have to come out, or in my yard. And you can see so many stars because there's no air pollution here. And that's a gift for me. So, and one of the other pros is, speaking of looking at the stars, I've not seen any chemtrails since I've lived here. And I have heard other expats say the same thing, and that's quite a change from home. Also, one of the pros is that it's multicultural here. There's East Indian, there's African, such as this is an African country, but there's Kenyans here and Nigerians. There's also South Africans, and I've met people from Holland. I've met people from Belgium. I've met people from Rwanda. So it's been very diverse. And even meeting East Indian people who are native to Mauritian. So they've been here their whole lives. And so that's been kind of cool. I really like the multicultural aspect of living here, and just the relaxed feeling that everybody has, except when you go driving. And I'll get to that. That's probably on my con list. But make sure I don't want to miss anything. Life here is slower. And so for me, that even though it's been very challenging, and I've had days where I've hated it here, the pro to that, though, is that it's been much slower on my mental health, and I've been able to focus on the things that I came here for, as opposed to, when I lived in the States, I was working 40 hours and wasn't able to get other things done. And, that was hard on me because I felt that I was being drained constantly. Life is so much slower here. And although I'm still busy and I'm still doing things, it's slower, and I have to keep reminding myself I'm not in a hurry to do anything. I don't have to hurry anymore. I don't have to make myself rush and hurry up and get this done real fast. That's just not how it is here. And so that's been a huge blessing for me. Um, Living in the States was really starting to affect my mental health, and I was feeling it. Um, and it seemed like it was almost like labor pains with my mental health. It seemed like the contractions were far apart, and then as it got worse, it got closer and closer. The episodes of just, feeling just drained and pulled and busy, and everybody wanting something from you, and the layers of this, and that, and this done, and this person wants money, and that person wants money, and then you need to show up for this, and you need to be on time for that, and I felt like I was being swallowed. And here I can say that that aspect of the mental health piece doesn't exist. There's been other challenging mental health pieces, though, adjusting to a new culture, and dealing with people, because people are people wherever you go, right? And so, um, there have been situations here that have been a little challenging, but there have been some real gems in all of that too. People who are sincere, who aren't taking advantage of you, who don't just want to hang out with you or be around you because they think you're American and you have money. That's one of the cons, and so this is a good time to go into the cons, because I think. Oh no, I missed on my pros. It's warm all the year long. Right now we're in their winter, so it's absolutely just so pleasant. I mean, it's like the perfect temperature, and a beautiful breeze has come in with their winter. This breeze wasn't here when I first got here, because we got here at the tail end of their summer. And so now there's just a really pleasant breeze. I would have loved to have taken you guys down to the beach, but I'm sorry, I'm not fighting with those dogs today. It's just not going to happen. I'm done with those dogs. I've actually filed a report. One of my neighbors filed a report twice, and another neighbor is filing a report as well. It's just time for them to come get those dogs. The other pro about Mauritius is they're very family centered here. They work really hard, and they're human like everybody else. Of course, there's issues in marriages, and there's teens that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, but it's not a widespread thing here. They are very pro family, and I really love that. It's not this individualistic mindset like we have in America, where it's like a survival for the fittest, and I just don't feel that same like selfishness. There are people here, like I said, there's people are people, and um, like one of the cons is this customer service here isn't that great. And so, but at the same time, you'll get what you need to get done. You just got to kind of be patient and be flexible and ask around and ask questions. And sometimes you might have to pull out your phone and maybe give their word for something. So, for example, we went to the store yesterday just to really quickly get some batteries, and two people did not know what we were talking about, even though they have batteries sitting right there by the cash register. We just didn't know where they were in the store. And so we did have to go to customer service up front, and I asked her, "Do you speak English?" And she said yes. And I asked her about batteries, and at first she thought I meant electronics. And so sometimes you just have to be flexible and just kind of just keep waiting till you get a breakthrough with communication. Um, so I think that I did get all the pros. And if you talk to another expat, they might bring out some things that I kind of missed. There's beautiful flowers here, and especially in the neighborhood that I live in, I really like the aesthetics of my neighborhood. It's just peaceful, and my spirit and soul have needed that so much. Okay, so some of the cons: mosquitoes, 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 mosquitoes. Uh, you know, it is what it is. They are all the time. And you have to wear skin repellent all the time. Um, I even put a little bit on before I go to bed. Um, and even being out here with you guys, I put some on real quick and just kind of came out here because otherwise I'll get ate up. Um, when I go on my walk, I usually come back with one if I don't put on repellent. So the mosquitoes are kind of a bummer. Um, not knowing the the language here. It is French, but they speak Creole. Creole. It's kind of a it's Creole French, and so it's their own spin. The Mauritians have their own spin, but they understand French perfectly. But the Creole part is just their own little spin, and so that's that's going to come within time. I know I'll learn little things here and there, but um, that's kind of frustrating because when you go to another country, you're very dependent. Um, and then being taken advantage of. I think I talked about that a little bit. That's one of that. You hear that barking? That's those dogs. I'm telling you, it's a thing. Oh man, those guys. Um, so sorry, I have a bug on me now. um, I really don't like the taking advantage piece, and I know a lot of expats talk about that, and that's pretty common in a lot of the countries. And I don't care for that. It even people who aren't from here. I dealt with a person who was kind of taking advantage of me, and they aren't even from this country, and they really do have the mindset that excuse me just one second, I dropped my list. Where did it blow to? Because the wind is blowing. um, they really do have the mindset here that I found it. Okay. That we as Americans are just draping in money, and we're really not. We work hard for everything that we have. And a lot of us have made sacrifices to move to other countries, and we're not rolling. I mean, there might be some, of course, there's always those that, can live like that. But most of the expats I know are being very frugal with their money. And, we just want to be able to just comfortably pay our bills and be able to rest. And that's possible when you move abroad. I didn't really realize, that was one of the pros that I knew coming here, but I came here for other reasons. I didn't come here to retire. I didn't come here specifically for that. But I knew that the cost of living was going to be much better. And I've had to deal with people taking advantage. It's not fun, but luckily I've been blessed to just have a couple of people on my side. And that's really all you need. If you have a good Mauritian on your side that will talk with you and be friendly and speak for you. And so I've had some really fortunate experiences that way. So that's been nice. The con, I told you already, the stray dogs is definitely at the top of my list with the mosquitoes. Um, the stray dogs are a problem here. There's a huge population of stray dogs, and you don't always know which ones are friendly and which ones aren't. They're very unpredictable. I don't care what people say on Facebook, talking about, oh, they're just hungry and thirsty and all this other stuff. I don't know. There's been many stories of them coming up to people and biting them unprovoked. And I've had them run up on me and I'm not even thinking about them. So, yeah, that's a huge bummer. It's a really huge bummer. I think also one of the cons is they're about 30, 40 years behind us in just about everything here on Mauritius. But I will say that that's also a pro in some ways, because that's what makes life slower here. That's what makes it restful, is because they are behind on a lot of things. And so, kind of like with the visa, getting a visa thing, this is one of the getting a visa approved. This is one of the easier countries with requirements to get a visa. If you have, all your documents in line, but they don't, their documents and the things that they require are attainable depending on what you want to do here. In this aspect of Mauritius. Now, if you go to Kenya, the requirements are going to be a little different, and their visa programs are going to be a little different. And I know that Albania is a very easy place to get a visa at. So there's other countries that are easier than Mauritius, but that can be a pro and it can be a con, depending on your experience. I know somebody who had to apply 5 times before they got approved, and then I know people in our group who got approved the first time. So it just kind of depends on your experience and what paperwork they're missing or what they want from you. The other con is not a lot of choices in products. I have been able to find some things from back home, but my son agreed with me that that's kind of one of the bummers. You go into the store and it's, but at the same time, you find that you really don't need all the choices. We're just used to it as Americans. We're used to Trader Joe's and all the lovely things that Trader Joe's likes to bring and have us buy. We're used to going into clothing stores and just anything you can think, hardware stores, it doesn't matter. We're used to just so many options at our fingertips. Like, even Amazon, you can have Amazon here, but it's going to be quite costly. So a lot of people here use Temu. I haven't ordered anything yet. I'm looking into that, but I'm definitely trying to watch my budget. So I've been very cautious as to, I keep dropping my list as to what I do with the finances, because I want to make sure that I'm being a good steward of what the Father has blessed me with. And changing my mindset, from being an American and how we spend our money, and just kind of tightening up and living more simply. I made up my mind before I came here that I was going to live more simply, and that we are doing. And you really don't need as much as you think you do. And I think a lot of people know that, but they choose not to live that way. One of the other cons is sanitization. So their garbage system, it's not horrible, but it's not great. Depending on where you go on the island, and also sanitization leading into like food vendors and different people selling on the street. You need to be really cautious of that, because they don't have sanitization requirements here. Like, they don't wear gloves. They don't, they touch your food. They have fresh bread here, which is amazing. I love it. I could eat like a loaf every day, which I don't, but it's very easy to do that because they make it fresh every day. But they don't wear gloves when they hand it to you. They just, here you go, and they handle money, and it's, yeah. So that's kind of a downer. It's kind of, if you're going to go eat their fresh bread, you have to just mind over matter and just eat it and enjoy it, and just hope you don't get sick, and just pray over your food. Pray over your food and bless it. The other con, and I'm going to end with this, is not having family here. That's very difficult. Even though I do have other Americans that I can talk to, it's still not the same when you can just drive up and go, make a little house visit, or say, hey, what are you doing this Saturday? Or, hey, you want to have a lunch date? But I'm actually going to get together with another expat and just have a cup of coffee and connect. So we do get to do that. You just have to rebuild. And that can be a pro and a con, rebuilding. You have to be flexible in a move like this, and be patient with yourself and with others, showing a lot of grace and mercy. And just allow for, in this case, I'm on an island, but just allowing the island to teach me. What does my Father want to teach me through this island and its people? What can I learn? How can I grow? How can I mature as a woman who's over 50? And what can my son learn? And I think he likes the slower pace as well. But he would tell you that there's pros and cons too. And I wish that he would have, been a part of this video, because it would have been good to get that perspective. Um, but I think that sums it up for now. I just wanted to share that with you guys and just kind of bring you into my world a little bit and kind of what's been going on here. But um, as you can hear, it's quite peaceful, and it's pretty much like this all day. Um, I can go into the next village, which is Troyalette, and it's, you know, booming on the main street there, their version of a main street. There's lots of cars and hustle and bustle, but all the stores close here at 7 p.m. pretty much, and on the weekends at 2 p.m. And so that's quite different than home, yes. A lot of our stores are 24 hours or they stay open till 11. And so we've had to adjust to that. But I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And, um, you know, I don't know when the Father, what he's going to do next, but I can say that I've had this experience and I wouldn't change this experience, even though like I said, I've hated it on some days, literally hated it. But I wouldn't change it just because I think everyone should live in another country and experience another culture. And, you know, it teaches you not to be selfish too. So we live in a very selfish world. And um, this requires me to be totally independent on the God that I serve. And I actually don't call him God. I do that for the sake of the conversations with other people, but I do call him my Yahuwah, my Elohim. So I just want to end with that. I want to thank you for listening, and you have a wonderful and blessed day, evening, morning, whatever time frame it is for you in the world. And remember, you're always valued, loved, and treasured. Shalom.